Hi, welcome to Analytical Media. We are a consortium, a group of therapists, college professors, academics, well-published peer-reviewed authors. You can find our book on a subject of psychopathy entitled Descent into Darkness at Amazon.com. This is a book about psychopathy, about psychopaths. And we take the killing of Travis Alexander by Jodi Arias and we explain it all in great detail from the perspective of psychopathy. Today we're going to cover a gang stalking situation, and we're going to go over that in detail. This is a gang stalking victim, or so she believes, who is quite litigious, and she filed 2 lawsuits claiming that Wisconsin probation officers, police, prosecutors, judges, and the Department of Correction are all part of a giant conspiracy to secretly torture her with invisible electrical harassment. She says that they purposely waited until her probation was over, then issued a fake warrant for a DNA sample just so Minnesota police could arrest her and keep her torture going. This is a letter that she wrote December 4th, 2022 to FBI, 2 locations, one in Brooklyn Center and one in Washington, D.C. And now I will read you her letter. To whom it may concern. Now, she believes she's been a victim of gang stalking, and she's filed a number of lawsuits, and this is a letter that she wrote to the FBI, 2 locations, 2 states. I am writing your agency about the illegal placement of my name on the terrorist watch list, which is held by your agency, FBI, and the inhumane harassment, torture, human trafficking of me that has crossed over 9 states, with 4 of those states working closely to maintain, facilitate, and execute harassment and retaliation for my seeking legal resolve for the last 6 years. My name was placed on your list by law enforcement in the state of Minnesota, the Duluth area. I am being exploited by law enforcement from both Duluth, Minnesota, and Superior, Wisconsin, whom recently falsely pursued me with an entrapment case, incarcerated me, and then used radiation tortures while incarcerated. I lost both my jobs and a job offer that were both unionized with health benefits. Just being placed on your terrorist watch list has had devastating consequences. It is only by the grace of God that I am still here and able to write this claim. I have filed civil lawsuits which each of the 4 states, 3 of which are still open. Every state agency and almost every civilian in my area is aware of this harassment taking place, and most are in fear and choose to participate or are just willing to participate. Either way, I refuse to be lied on and victimized so you can collect a profit. Now, there's no evidence that this woman is on a terrorism list. If there is, she hasn't offered it. And why would they react? Because she hasn't proven that she's on a terrorist list. And then she says, I refuse to be lied on and victimized so you can collect a profit. Well, she has not yet given evidence that she's on a list or that they are collecting a profit. Now, she does try to give some evidence here, which I think you will agree is no evidence at all. A Google search resulted in targeted individuals appearing 250 million times. So she looked up targeted individuals and she got 250 million results in Google, by the way. Direct energy weapon attacks are another 32 million times she found results. Remote neural monitoring appears 13 million times. And gang stalking is at 9.5 million times. Gavin Long and Myron Mays are just two men with educated backgrounds that have been pushed to the edge due to inhumane harassment. That is just a small portion of mass shooters whom endure this torture program. Gavin Long and Myron Mays are mass murderers. Not all of Myron Mays' victims died, but these are people claiming to be gang stalking victims, targeted individuals. Gavin Long massacred, I believe, killed, murdered 6 people, and Myron Mays, not all of his victims died. And as this woman points out in her letter, they are two men with educated backgrounds, true, that have been pushed to the edge due to inhumane harassment. Whether they were actually harassed, we don't know. We know they felt that way, they reported that. And that's why gang stalking is a dangerous thing. Dangerous for ordinary people who are going to the mall or to the post office. She says those two are a small portion of mass shooters whom endured this torture program. The ACLU and the Chief Center for Constitutional Rights filed a lawsuit and challenged our government-targeted killing of 3 American citizens in drone strikes far from my armed conflict zone. The Human Dignity Council produced a shadowy report on systemic, organized stalking, covert neutralization of dissidents by means of torture, degrading, and inhumane treatment. By federal law, your agency, the FBI, is required to investigate crimes that break federal law. Your agency's several lists in which it has been consolidated into the federal terrorism watch list. Let me read that to you again. Your agency several list in which it has been consolidated into the federal terrorism watch list. I'm sure there are some mistakes in here, grammatical or perceptual. Irregardless, I have no idea what that line means. Perhaps you do. If so, post it in the comments. The main purpose of the TSC is to have information across the U.S. government and with other law enforcement agencies. People are added to this list, which is maintained by the CIA. The CIA then implements its MKU Ultra programs to target victims in the form of behavior modification. We will be doing, by the way, an in-depth look at MK Ultra. MK Ultra is a real thing, and it was implemented by the CIA. The link to gang stalking, we don't know. It hasn't been produced. The Office of the Private Sector has confirmed the FBI discredits targeted victims with a COINTELPRO type program. So if you have the authority to place a person on a list, discredit that person by the COINTELPRO program and then place a victim in a harassment, torture, human trafficking program, aka MK Ultra, you have in essence given these agencies the ability to play judge, jury, and executioner without the victim being charged or convicted of any crime. My business, home, and cars fell under your attack by military drones, audio and video surveillance, stalking, intimidation technique, slander, defamation, communication, hacking on all levels, adulteration, illegal research, dark web profit, malicious persecution, blocking of all housing, blocking of employment, and other severe medical complications not mentioned. This is harassment. It has caused me irreparable harm, and I am seeking both compensatory and punitive damages in the amount of $10 million. An immediate removal of my name and my daughter's name from your terrorist watch list and your no-fly list, as I have also been targeted by the airlines as a result, of your illegal placement on these lists. While illegally incarcerated, the same perpetrators whom harass my business and still harass my car are actively participating in the same audio-video radiation harassment even as I sit typing this letter. The same group was allowed to access into my jail cell and conversate through each drone radiation attack, with public officials making guest voice speakings in agreement with the process. This nonsense has gotten too far out of control. I am very surprised that I would be chosen as a victim for your program. Again, please take me off of any and all lists you possess. As I've said repeatedly through all the videos, if you are or you believe yourself to be a gang stalking victim or a TI, your efforts, all of your efforts, should be in proving your gang stalking victim by collecting evidence in any manner necessary. But you cannot expect to be believed without evidence. The fact that you claim you know how it all works, well, do you have evidence of how it all works? It's silly to think that anyone's going to take you seriously without evidence. What you're writing here without evidence is no different than saying that the moon is made of green cheese. Can't prove it is, and we can't prove it isn't. Or at least we couldn't prove it before, but since we visited the moon, we could prove it now. You need evidence. And if you really are a gang stalking victim, I feel sorry for you, of course. And I would want it stopped. But you can't expect people to believe you without evidence. Gather up your evidence. Let people judge it. But at least offer some evidence. Offer some videotapes you shot yourself, or tape your family doctor telling you you're a victim of radiation poisoning. Even the ghost hunter shows, right? You know, all the ghost hunter shows, paranormal activity shows, they offer evidence. Now, it's lousy evidence. It doesn't prove a thing. But at least they recognize that you got to offer some. It's not good evidence. It certainly doesn't prove they're talking to ghosts or they're haunted by ghosts. And perhaps the evidence this woman could gather also would not prove that there are ghosts there. But maybe you could be a little bit suggestive of. But there's no evidence offered here. That's my whole point. There is no evidence offered. You have hypotheses, but no evidence. No evidence that you're on the no-fly list. There's nothing offered here. Maybe they have the evidence, in which case my talking to them now directly will tell them, look, if you got evidence, even poor evidence, weak evidence, offer it. Offer your evidence. The fact that you've offered none, yet claim to know everything with a surety, suggests you might be delusional. If you have no evidence, how could you be so sure? Show your names on these lists. That should be available to you. And if you can't find those lists with your names on them, well, you have no evidence. And you shouldn't believe that you're on the list unless you have evidence that you're on the list. Now, let me give you some facts. This information is coming to you from a fact sheet, Ash versus Themin and Ash versus Naring, U.S. District Court, the Western District of Wisconsin, case number 3:CV-525-JDP, and case 3:25-CV, that's Charles Vincent -526 John David Peter JDP. This is decided July 29th, 2025, so it's fairly recent, as all of our research. Occasionally we report on something the day it's occurred. Our stuff is not old. So this was decided July 29th, 2025 in front of Judge James D. Peterson. Now here's what the case is about. I'm going to leave the woman's name out who filed these two lawsuits. But you can look them up through the numbers I've provided you. It's a matter of public record. Now she claims in these two lawsuits that Wisconsin probation officers, police, prosecutors, judges, the Department of Correction, are part of a giant conspiracy to secretly torture her with invisible electrical harassment. She says they purposely waited until her probation was over, then issued a fake warrant, not a real warrant, for a DNA sample, just so that Minnesota police would arrest her and keep the torture going. That's what she alleges. Here's what the judge said, quote, like the allegations in her prior complaints, because she's filed many prior complaints. They've all been dismissed, by the way. These allegations about a fantastical conspiracy to electrically monitor and harass her are simply not plausible. He's saying not possible. That's what plausible means. End quote. She appears to have tailored her allegations to narrowly avoid the limitations set by the prior filing restriction. She was told not to file these lawsuits. She was warned not to over and over again. There should be restrictions now being imposed, sanctions being imposed upon her. In this complaint, and this is what the judge says, she swapped drones and radiation for electrical harassment to try to get around the court's earlier ban, because she'd been banned from filing these things. The Court of Appeals has cautioned against paranoid pro se litigation. Pro se meaning self. She's representing herself. No attorneys involved. Alleging a vast, encompassing conspiracy unless the plaintiff meets a high standard of plausibility. So we're talking about evidence, plausible. And if it doesn't meet a high state or standard of plausibility, it means it's not plausible. It is impossible. It's not possible. You have to meet a high standard of plausibility. If not, it's impossible. And here's the outcome of the case. The judge says both lawsuits are dismissed with prejudice, which means they cannot be refiled. If a case is dismissed with prejudice, it can never be refiled. There can be no appeals, no new angles of attack, because they are factually frivolous, meaning they have no real facts to support what they're saying, and are legally impossible, not improbable or legally unlikely. They are legally impossible. So you can't bring this again. It is dismissed with prejudice. It's to be prejudged. As soon as you bring it up, it's dismissed permanently. And he says, Ash already had a filing ban for drone/radiation claims. So she was banned from filing any more drone/radiation claims. The judge expanded it to now block any future lawsuits from her about illegal electronic surveillance and electrical harassment and anything dealing with the government in a conspiracy trying to hurt her or spy on her. And any new case with those claims will be instantly rejected, according to the judge. You need evidence to be believed, and that should be paramount in your mind. Don't write a letter, don't file a lawsuit. Without evidence, no matter what you're claiming, without evidence, the case is going to be instantly dismissed by the court. You have to provide evidence of any claims you're making. If you claim that your neighbor is a Russian spy, you had better have some evidence of that. You can't just go to court and say, Your Honor, I believe this person is a Russian spy. In fact, I know for sure she's a Russian spy. And what's the judge going to say? Why, thank you for coming in. No, he's going to say, and what evidence do you have of this? Why do you say that? Well, I don't have any evidence, I just know. Well, that's not good enough. In writing letters, filing lawsuits without evidence is just a giant waste of the court's time. They're not going to tolerate it. You're never going to win, and you're wasting your time. Your time is better spent trying to gather evidence, working a part-time job so you can buy some surveillance equipment. And don't forget, today, you could get security cameras that can see in darkness, total darkness. And if it's not dark, they'll see in color. You could get those for less than $20 a piece. You might get them for $12 each. You want security cameras? Now, you say, well, somebody's out there, well, then you'll have a picture of that somebody, or at least a somebody, or somebody walking their dog at least. But to go and approach a court is being done here with no evidence whatsoever is asinine. It's stupid beyond comprehension, is it not? You have nothing? If you don't have anything, you could go to the police and say, somebody's trying to do this now. I don't know who it is. You're still going to need some evidence, like, well, because I get awakened at night, or my window was broken downstairs, or my car was scratched, or something. But you can't go to court with nothing. The court demands evidence. So today we've let you know what some people claiming to be TIs, a woman and her daughters, what they believe to be the case. So that's what they're experiencing. You can relate it to your own experiences. But what we can learn from this is this case was dismissed with prejudice. It means you can't file it again. As soon as they get it, they're going to rip it up. You're never going to court with these things again. Why? Because you had zero evidence. None. Nothing plausible. You gave them nothing that could possibly be the case. Everything you gave them was impossible. Your allegations were impossible. It was invalid. This was a waste of time. And we know that this woman has had many other lawsuits dismissed for that very purpose. This is analytical media. I hope we've brought you something interesting, given you something to think about, roll around in your head, analyze, digest, accept or reject, or somewhere in between. We think, analytical media thinks, we're pressing the light onto the important things in Sovereign Citizen or targeted individual encounters, things that usually aren't discussed, things that should pinpoint why the court is ignoring you or ruling against you. Maybe that'll help people to solve their cases. For the rest of us, it gives you something to think about. What order should we put your claims of surveillance, of harassment? What should we put them into? What arenas? How to go about it? If you want to be believed. If you're just complaining, go ahead and complain. If you want something to be done about it and you want to find relief or attempt to, if you have evidence, provide it. And if you don't have evidence, get together with other people, hire a private detective. Those of you that have money, some of you don't, plenty of you do. Get together, those who have little, combine your resources and prove this. If it's real and it's coming from human beings, it's provable. You need that evidence. And without it, you're wasting your time. Without the evidence, you yourself should not believe it. Seriously, you should say, maybe I have a mental problem here. Maybe this is something issue that's mental, because it does happen. We do have delusions of persecution. We do have paranoia. It's a normal thing. It's been around for hundreds of years, noted for hundreds of years. You need evidence yourself. You have video recorders. All phones can do that. You have audio recorders. All phones can do that. This is Analytical Media. We will see you the next time we put a video up. If you have any questions, put them in the comments or email us. We'll certainly address all things of relevance. Let us know how you think we're doing. Hope everything goes well for you. We sincerely do. That's why we do this. Help us to help other people by increasing our presence on YouTube. And you can do that by liking the video or by subscribing to the channel. That's the way the algorithm works. The more that works, the more people we can actually help. On that note, hope all goes well for you. Hope everything's gone well for you. And hopefully we'll continue this in our next video. Take care.